like blue days.
Say extreme days.
Blue days.
Say we're living
an extreme day.
Alright guys, this is Stein here for a little bit of a overview of some bug out information. I just want to thank those of you that have spent time, sacrificed, and put your neck out there to a lot of criticism and possibly the NSA snooping around and show us what your gear looks like and what you're carrying and what you keep in your truck and how you're getting out of Dodge. So over the several years that I've been trying to put this together, I've been looking for like a collective, like what are some of the tools out there that we might want to consider, and what are the practical considerations to really, if it all hits the fan, and what should we be doing? Let me just give you a little bit of my background. I'm an avid mountaineer. I'm a guide on big mountains like Rainier. I've led several teams to the summit of Rainier. Carried big packs, big bomber packs. I think the last summit I did was had a 92-pound pack. Not afraid of loads on stretches, so my pack might be a little heavier than most people are comfortable with. Done a lot of search and rescue, and just up here in Idaho, we have pretty extreme weather, so I feel like my background is pretty realistic. I have a PhD in chemistry. I did a postdoctoral fellowship at Berkeley. I don't think I'm really an extremist. Definitely not a Mormon. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I love him, and I have a true relationship with him, not just a religious relationship with him. I also, studying his warnings, I want to be paying attention to what's going on out there, and the things like the FEMA camps and the NSA and the HARP weapon. You know, if you're not familiar with some of this stuff, this guy that we've got in the White House, though we should be praying for him. He's probably the biggest narcissist I can think of in history, next to probably Hitler and Genghis Khan. This guy's an imperialist. He's someone that I think is someone to be keep an eye on. That things in the background, that the way Americans are just like sheep, giving their freedoms and their liberty away. The very liberty that my grandfather fought for in World War II, and my two great uncles almost gave their life to fighting. I take that very seriously. So I also want to just encourage those of you out there to take this seriously. You know, I think back to Noah and what it must have been like for him to be building that ark for over 100 years, and people to just be saying, "This guy's a nut job." You know, I know those of you that are watching this, some of you are around here saying, "Man, this guy's just a nut job," and I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, when that door shuts and you got people out there clawing and gnashing that they said, you know, let us in, you know, you got to say, you know what, we tried to warn you. I've got friends around me that are just heads are under the sand. They refuse to read and to pay attention to what's really going on, and more than just the infotainment that happens on the networks. You know, I consider my friends that are highly educated, physicians and dentists and you know, multiple degrees in law, but still at the end of the day they're just putting their head in the sand. So I just want to be a realist, and I want to put together something in case it all hits the fan. So what I'm going to try to do by this is hopefully try to give an overview of this. I'd like to make this about a half hour. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll give it a shot. So one thing that I do, I do a lot of monitoring. I'm a professor of chemistry. I spend a lot of time reading. I read several books a week, and on various topics. And one of the things I want to be realistic about is when it hits the fan. You know, I remember where I was with 9/11, and what would have happened if 9/11 would have been much more drastic than it truly was. You know, realistically, what was I doing? I was listening to, you know, the internet radio or radio itself. So the very first thing I'm going to do over here in my bug out bag is if I'm at work, I'm going to be turning on my radio, and I've got a really nice unit in. This is a multi-frequency scanner. It scans military, it scans fire, it scans police, it scans rescue, search and rescue, ham radio. It does civilian air, it does military air, even does railroad and local school buses. So again, this is invaluable. And so I'm going to have this thing on. I'm going to have it down here as I'm assessing what I've got going on. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not just going to grab this thing and head out of town. I've got more likely I've got some type of nice clothing on, a shirt, definitely some nice shoes on. And I'm not going to be trudging home. Again, if I can't get home with my vehicle, I'm not just going to throw this on with my work clothes on and go. So that's why I've got a secondary bag. This is the bag I'm going to go to first. I'm going to be scanning my frequencies. I'm going to be assessing what's going on out there. So immediately in this bag, I've got my first tool. This is just simply a 6-hour, AR-15. Everyone's got them. Got a nice, shoulder strap on this one that I can pull this thing up and quickly go to work with it. But it's on my person and it's ready to roll. I've got an EOTech on it. I've got an EOTech scope on this thing, and EOTech makes they make a pretty good scope. I like the size of this. I like it's light. I go back and forth between this and my 308. I've also got the 6-hour 308 version of this, much more heavy, much more beefy. The mags are a lot heavier. This one, I'm gonna, I've got a couple things here that I'm gonna accessorize it with, and one of the things that I typically accessorize it with is, I don't know if I can find it here real quickly. Smith & Wesson has a really nice bayonet knife, and on the SIG, this thing clips in very nicely, and once again, that's ready to go. Nice bayonet on this. It's not going anywhere, and this is my short term. Could be around my neck again, depending on how bad it really is. This is going with me. This is one of my first defenses, and I'll explain some of the other weaponry I have in here. But definitely want that SIG going with me. I've got in this bag, and I'm in the process of adding some hardware out here on this pack that I can put my mags in. But I've got 2 Surefire 60-round mags, and the mag that of course is on the gun. So I'm hoping this is enough, at least weaponry, to get myself home. But let's be realistic. If there's no home to go to, I prepare for the what if. Because if there is no home to go back to, if it really has hit the fan, if we really are under martial law and everyone's getting hauled off to FEMA camps, we have to be realistic on are we trying to get home, are we trying to escape, are we trying to hide? So there's a lot of assessment going on, again, listening to the radio, but that's all going with me. In this pack also, because I live in a cold climate, I'm going to take off my work clothes, I'm listening to my radio, I'm assessing it, got a good thermal. One of the things I'd encourage you guys with is go with poly. As a mountaineer, cotton kills. If you've got any cotton other than maybe some outer clothing, you're going to be hurt, especially if you're in cold country. I'm in cold country up here in Idaho, and so poly unders and a poly t-shirt must, minimal must. These are going on. I'm taking off my work clothes, which are mostly cotton. Those are coming off. My work clothes coming off. Got a good base layer, and both top and bottom base layer. Got a really good pair of mountaineering socks. Again, wicking, these take the moisture away. This stuff that's all going on me right now. Again, as I'm assessing before I jump with this and head home, I'm going to change real quick. Spend that 5 to 10 minutes assessing what's going on, listening, but also getting ready. I've got a good pair of 511 tactical gloves. Really nice gloves, keep your hands warm. Work with your tools. I also have some Woodland, digital, true military spec pants that I'm going to be putting on, and Vietnam hat there, and then the top part of this. So these are things I'm putting on, and I'm also going to throw on. I've got some pretty good high-grade knee pads and elbow pads. Get these things on, get my stuff on. Now, a lot of you out there said, no, you know what, you don't want to be walking down the street in that gear, especially with an AR-15 hanging down your neck and this thing on your back. I beg to differ with that. If it's really gone that far that I can't walk down the street with this gear on and not stick out, I'm probably not going to be moving during the daylight. I'm probably going to be moving at night. One of the things I'm working on right now, adding to my pack that I don't have right in here is a flak jacket. I'm in the process of getting a real high quality flak jacket that actually would be some type of level of body armor. Also working on a Gen 3 night vision that mounts to my, this is the real deal here, this is a Kevlar, this is military grade, it actually was from a military person, but this is the real deal. It's Kevlar, saying several $100s. It's got a really nice surefire attachment over here on its headlamp that's built into it. I don't know if you can see that, but really nice. And this is going to be going, again, assessing this, going with me, possibly, maybe not, but I'm listening to this, and you might be saying, are you really going to leave all this stuff behind? And I have to say, you know, if I'm going to be leaving everything else behind, like my $4,000 truck and all the things that I keep on me every day, and I have to actually hit the road, yeah, I'll leave this stuff. This is just a backpack full of a couple things that I may or may not take. So, got a good Scully here. And again, I've got a couple other things in here just to go through. These are some boots that have been on a lot of practice climbs. You can see that they're pretty worn out. They don't blister me. I know they're safe. I know they're Gore-Tex. They're warm in the winter. They're waterproof, but they also they breathe in the summer. So these are a year-round. Some of my older ones, but they go with me. Those are going on. Second one here. One of the things I may or may not take coming out of this thing, one of the things I'd really like to take is a ghillie suit. And you know, this thing is really light. It's just bulky. So is there a way that I can just, you know, bungee cord it? I don't like stuff hanging out the outside, but again, if I've got to hide, this is a sweet tool to hide in. And you know, it's the real deal. This is the real woodland camo ghillie suit. It's got the, you know, it's got the pants. It's got the this is the face mask here for to hide some of the accessories. And you know, again, it's got a hat. It's got there's the jacket and there's the hat. You know, this stuff. When I put this on, I sit out in the yard. My kids don't see me, and I've got 3 small kids. I've got a 7-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and we practice, and Daddy practice, trying to get them realize where they are in school, to get them home, get my wife home, and everything. So depending on the situation, I'm assessing the situation. I'm not just going to throw this on and head home. I'm going to be listening and being realistic. Now, that being said, once I've done that, then I decide what in this do I really want to take. I've got a couple different iterations of this. This is my 72-hour pack. As I'm going to break it down tonight. I've got a 24-hour version of this and a 12-hour version of this. So right now, just because of where we are with as I'm recording this, we're thankful for the Republicans are defunding Obamacare through the House. I think it's a wise decision. And so I'm on kind of heightened awareness, and so I've got the 72-hour version of it in my truck everywhere I go. This pack goes everywhere I go. This pack sits shotgun with me. My wife hops in my truck with me. This just goes in the back temporarily until she's gone or out of the truck, and then I put this right back in with me. But this means a lot. One of the things I'll say, and I'm going to try to break it down, lay it all out here. I know people like that. I don't really care. I think a pile of gear looks kind of cool, but if you want me to lay it all out, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to talk about a couple things before I do that. I've talked about my radio. Before I jump into this pack, and people might be saying, well, how much does your pack weigh? I'm in the high 40s, low 50s, depending on how much water I take. So again, I'm okay with that. And I know that might be a lot of weight for people, but for 72 hours, and not only 72 hours, but what if? What if this is all I've got? What if there is no house to go back to? I'm gonna be thankful for that extra 25 pounds of gear. And so some of the stuff in here is that what if factor. Again, I'm okay with that. I'm 6'5", 200 pounds, in fairly good shape. I'm okay humping some pretty big packs through the woods. So one other thing I just want, before I break this all down, before I go into the inside of the pack, I keep up here. I always want to keep I've got 3 different levels of bartering. I think bartering's key. If I'm going to have to get through some FEMA roadblock or some kind of guys that don't look kind of shady, yeah, you're right. They might see my AR-15 around my neck and say, you know what, this guy's he's coming in anyway, or whatever. But I keep some bartering money right here. I don't have to go into the main parts of my pack. I've got $100 bills, some 20s, and some 5s, and that's just sitting right here in the zipper. And if I'm coming up on something, I'm like, you know what, hey guys, let me just keep $100 bucks, let me get home, and let's just be good with this. And most guys, remember these FEMA guys, they're just like, they're friends that I go out and shoot down range with. They're just guys. They also want to just get home, and they might be saying, this guy just wants to get home, and he doesn't want to cause problems, and maybe $100 will grease that wheel, maybe not, but it's worth it, and I keep that right here. A couple other things I keep right up front are my multiple flashlights. Again, I'll break this all out. I'm a serious fan of these extreme beams. I don't know if you can see that, but I have lots of surefires on my weapons and surefires in my next to my bed. But this thing may or may not use. So I don't want to invest that kind of money, but I want something reliable. And this extreme beam is about 1/3 the cost, a little bit higher lumens, and incredible reliability. Great light for again, if I'm out, if I have to have some weapon and be spotting, this is a great light to do that with. This is my little Gerber backup. It's an LED. It's a AA. I try to go with I try to keep all my batteries the same. I know in here I've got about 3 different types of batteries. I don't like that, and I'll explain why. But this is my little backup LED. Again, it's a good little light if I just had to, if this one's down, or if I just want a little bit of light in the middle of the night, just to check out a map. It's a great little light. It stays right up here in the top part of my pack. Okay, so that's kind of the main things up here, and I'm going to walk through the gear that I have in the pack. But before I do, one more thing. I've got a multi-tool right here. I keep it right on the shoulder pouch. This is actually the Leatherman Mutt. The Leatherman Mutt is a really amazing multi-tool. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mutt. I don't know if you can see that or not. But this has an AR-15 clearing. If I need to clear the AR-15, it also has all the tools I need to break down my AR. I'm going to come back to this because I've got a cleaning kit in here. But this is an incredible, useful tool with carrying an AR-15 and the other couple things I've got in there. But this goes on the outside of my pack. This is my multi-tool. I'll have this laid out in a nice, organized fashion here in a minute. On the outside, also, I carry a Gerber fixed blade. You always want a fixed blade knife. If you need to pound something, get through something, got to have a fixed blade. So this also goes on the outside of my pack. But other than I'll talk about my Gerber tomahawk and some trucking poles. But I'm gonna break all this down now, and I'm gonna pause this, break all this out, open up my pack. And, well, before I do that, let me just explain a couple things on my pack. I'll lay it all out, and I know the people that like to see all their gear kind of laid out in an organized fashion, which I don't know. It doesn't do either way for me. This Gerber, I think it's called the Downrange Tomahawk. This is an amazing tool. If you haven't seen this, a little pricey, it's over $200, but this has replaced a lot of tools in my backpack. I used to have probably 7 pounds of hammer, axe. I actually carried a tomahawk, and I actually carried a crowbar in there. And I've got some gaffer tape on this to protect the crowbar. This comes off real quickly, but man, you talk about a tool to breach something or to pound on something. I'm still trying to get a good edge on the tomahawk to make it. It's not a great axe. You can use it as an axe, but you talk about a tool. Gerber did some great innovation to this. There's actually a military version of this I tried to get, but it's harder to get than the civilian version. But the civilian version is still pretty good. It comes with a bunch of MOLLE stuff. I don't like the MOLLE stuff. It's kind of weak. I just like this thing being ready to go. So, well, the way my pack, before I just lay it all out on the ground here, I've got lots of real super light, super strong carabiners. As a mountaineer, I never have too many carabiners. Got a couple little pouches up in this area. I'm going to carry my essential my GPS, which is loaded with all the topos in my area. In fact, it's actually loaded with all the topos in North America. So, again, a real nice Oregon 400T Garmin GPS, has all my topos. Know exactly, I've got it programmed in here, my home coordinates to get home. I've also got some bug out locations. If I had to get out, get my family and get out, they're all on here. This is ready to roll with, again, AA's. I keep that. Got a nice pair of Steiner smaller binoculars that I keep up here on the ready. And one of the things that I think is very important that I keep kind of up front is this downrange sharpener by Gerber. Super, super powerful sharpener. There's a military, again, version of this. I encourage you to look at the downrange sharpener by Gerber. Good diamond edge to get a good flat edge on this. It's got the smaller to get your serrations, and a little bit larger. It's got a quick run you can run through. Super light. Really did some good research on putting this thing together. So that's up here in this area. I've also got some just tools. I don't know if you can see that from up here. I'll lay this out. This goes for my mutt, so I can use. I've got lots of different Phillips and Standards and Allens and you name it. Those go right up in there. Go in this little zip pouch. Pretty accessible up here. Things that I think I might reuse, fairly quickly. In this pouch right here, the reason why I'm just going to explain this before I lay it all out. Up in this pouch, I've got the things that are super essential, but mostly my electronics. Okay, I'm going to lay all these out, but these are my electronics. They stay in a really high-end dry bag because I don't want these getting destroyed by moisture. I'm going to lay all this stuff out, and I also carry a SIG P220. This is a 45 ACP. I'll explain why I carry specifically the P220. I'll get into that when I get into my weaponry. But that goes right here in this pouch. I don't want it out here on my person. Got my AR-15 out there. It might be nice to have that. I've got a couple shoulder holsters for it, but I just keep it in here. And if it's super bad, I've got some Velcro stuff that keeps it right here next to my AR. So I'll explain that. But again, my electronics, and I've got another layer of bartering, and I'll go through my second layer of bartering, which I keep out here, so I don't have to go into my main pack. Okay, and I'm going to lay all this stuff out and explain it to you. This thing here I keep up front. I'll explain it. Well, I'll explain it right now. This is called a breath of life. This is actually a bag you put over your head, and you get between 20 to 30 minutes of filtered air coming through there. This is super light. There's a couple of other more expensive versions of it. I think this one was like 15 bucks. But you can get up to an hour of this. And if you're in a high rise, think about 9/11 when those buildings came down. Look at all the dust and the particulates out there. And if you had to go through a quick place, and you're like, good grief, I just got to get through this area. Man, this is coming out, going over my face so I can get through some area with a lot of dust. But it stays up top, and it might not even be as light as this is. I mean, like 2 ounces. I have a couple of these on hand, but I just happen to have one, and I just keep it up at the top here. Okay. So then, once we drop out of this and we go into kind of the main compartment, let me just break this down for you real quick here, and then I'll go ahead and log off. And trekking poles are a must. I'm getting old, and they're a lifesaver on the knees. But as I go into my main compartment here, and I lay this down, okay, this is all my gear. This is my main essentials. All right, it's all where I know where it is. And I'll explain it all. I've got certain things here. I know that if I go into here, I've got my cooking gear, and this is my immediate hygiene and some areas. But I don't know if you really care the way I have it in my backpack. Some people think that's kind of cool. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me to know how someone has it in their backpack. Just have it for you. Over here, I've got some really important tools. Okay, this is a Gerber concertina cutter. This will go through barbed wire, it'll go through concertina wire, it'll also go through chain link fence. Okay, it's pretty light for 75 pounds of torque on this thing, a little expensive. This thing was around $75. Super, super, super important tool. It goes right out here with all my other tools. And again, I've got lots of tools in these outside pockets. These are my hard tools in these two outer ones. Okay, out here. And I'll lay all this stuff out, and I'm going to pause it, lay it all out, and then I'll be back. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If you're this far along, you want to see what I've got going on here. I think there are some things in here that you might not have thought about. I know I didn't, and again, I owe a lot of gratitude for a lot of you. But I've tried to synthesize from about 12 to 14 different sources what would be important in a bag to get out of Dodge, and a bag that even more important than that if there was no Dodge to go home to. Stay with me.
I do go.
The extreme days.
I do.
Say we're living
We're living an extreme day.